a reminder once again that you are still under oath for continuation of your testimonies. Madam Chair, over to you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Sanyang. You are welcome back. Council, can we proceed? Because we have less than 45 minutes. The ACs are not working, and we are told that they are still working on it. Hopefully, it will be sorted out before we close at 4.
Yes. Thank you very much, Madam Chairperson, Honorable Commissioners. It's good to have you again. So, Mr. Sayer, we were discussing the Crab Island Solarization project and the fencing of the Crab Island. Do you follow?
Yes.
So basically, we've already discussed the issue of the solarization project. Now we move to the issue regarding the fencing.
Okay.
Please have this file. Can you come and assist?
Council, did you establish the project cost for the one we just dealt with before we resumed?
Yes. Can you tell us what the project cost was for the first project, that is the solar project?
Are you referring to the estimated cost in the OD?
Yes.
The estimate is about $11 million.
Yes. That's
Thank
correct.
you, Mr. Sanya.
So now, what can you tell us about the project in relation to the request for quotations that were being sent, or an application for request for quotation for the completion of the fence at Crab Island that was awarded to Jalan Kolong Enterprise?
Jala Kolong.
Yes.
The Jala Kolong project, the fencing project was a tender. It was tendered and Jala Kolong happened to be the winner. But then at a point, we received a letter from BCC that Jala Kolong did not perform to their expectations.
Is that the letter dated the 23rd of January 2023?
I have to confirm
Yes,
that
please
it is
confirm.
that.
Have you seen it?
Letter dated 23rd
3rd of January 2023.
2022.
Yes, 23.
Sorry.
Where the were highlighting the fact that there was poor performance on the side of the contractor.
Yes, this is the letter dated 23rd of January 2023, a request for quotation.
Yes.
Council is hereby inviting you to submit a quotation on or before 3rd, but this one is addressed to EcoFarm.
Yes.
EcoFarm contribution. There should be a letter to the authority requesting for the termination of the contract and expressing
Yes.
dissatisfaction with Jalakolon's performance.
But that did not feature in that envelope.
Yes, I have not.
Sorry, in that,
I have not seen it.
Yes.
Because this one is written to service providers, contractors, to provide quotations for that same fencing, which was initially given to Jalakolong. So at a point, there were some correspondences between BCC and the authority. They even requested for termination of that contract with Jalakolong prior to allowing them to use a request for quotation for the same contract.
Yes.
So I may take time to look at these correspondences and then probably have an informed decision or make an informed decision.
You can do that while we have a general discussion, because
Okay.
the issue is, unless you have seen it there, I have not seen a letter requesting for termination of the contract between BCC and Jalan Kolong Enterprise. But then what I have seen is the GPPA letter, the 6th of February 2023.
GPPA letter.
Where in the request
6th of
February, where the request for approval, which I have not seen in the file, was denied by GPPA because of reasons. One, absence of relevant GPA reporting forms.
Correct.
And absence of the bill of quantity.
Correct.
Do you see the letter?
Yes.
Can you read us what the letter says?
Is addressed to the Chief Executive Officer, Banjul City Council.
Yes.
And it reads, Dear Sir, request for quotation. Your letter reference 12/BCC/EU/BCC/73 Volume 2, dated 23rd of January 2023, which relates to the continuation and completion of the 2 lots at the former Crab Island School refers. We regret to inform you that your request for the above works contract cannot be approved at this stage due to the following anomalies. 1, absence of relevant GPPA reporting forms, and 2, absence of a BOQ for the remaining works. Please complete the said forms, and to expedite proceedings, submit them along BOQ for our consideration. But the other part was scratched, and this is a draft. I'm seeing DG draft. Let me check if the finance. Okay. It's almost the same content.
Yes.
I have seen the final one. Yes, almost the same content. Submit them.
Now, you refused to grant approval.
Yes.
For request for quotation on grounds that there was an absence of bill of quantity. Is that correct?
Yes.
And absence of relevant DPA forms.
Correct.
Which forms are you referring to?
Now here, any request, depending on the procurement method that they wanted to use. And here they are requesting for request for quotation. And the forms that should have been submitted for consideration for request for quotation will include 1, GPPA Form 100, GPPA 004 for request for quotation, and maybe with other relevant documents. including the minutes of the Contracts Committee agreeing to this course of action.
Now, did the steering committee, because in this case it is a steering committee and not the contracts committee, can you please refer yourself to the steering committee's letter or minutes of the steering committee?
Dated what?
Should be, just hold on a minute. If you look at the letter of the 13th June 2022, wherein they requested for approval for open tender, it is in the same minutes because they have attached the steering committee's minutes. Do you see it? Or otherwise, I can help you with it.
Yes, maybe I need help here. Some commissioner.
Now, Mr. Sanya, before you answer the question, who cancelled the contract? Because if I am right, council has asked the question to say that the contract was cancelled.
The request to cancel came from BCC.
Okay.
In fact, that is why before we proceed, I just wanted to find out whether you have taken time to ensure that all the files relative to this are intact. Because for us at GPPA, we think we submitted all the files, but if some of the files are missing, probably we can find out, because this is a long process.
Yes.
There was a request from BCC to terminate the contract. And even apart from that, we had series of meetings between BCC, GPPA, and even the contractor. And at each of these stages, even the meetings were generated. So, minutes were generated. And I could even remember that we sent some staff of the authority to go and inspect and verify some of the things that BCC is claiming, justifying for the termination of the contract. So if those things are not with you, I believe they must be with the authority. But we have a lot of documents relative to this contract. This is the end bit when, in fact, approval was given for given the circumstances and to fasten the issues, because it's a donor-funded project and the donors were also present, otherwise the funds will go back. That was when we allowed them to use a restricted tender, because initially it was subjected to open tender. So finally we allowed them to use a restricted tender, and I think that is the last bit of what we have here. But
just to respond to that.
Okay.
What we found in the file was amazing, because the files are such that everything is mixed up.
Okay.
the files we got from your office.
Okay.
Everything is mixed up, so they are not according to folio numbers.
Okay.
Some documents were removed from the file, and this is why we are doing a lot of back and forth with you.
Okay.
Just to let you know that this is how we find the files. Thank you.
Yes. So unless you see minutes of contracts committee meetings or minutes of the steering committee, what you have there is the minutes for the steering committee, but to a large extent was addressing the issue of the solar. Do you see that?
Yes, the first part is about attendance, date, and other things.
Yes.
Then you have in attendance, Mr. Peter, something which is a partner. Then you have meeting agenda, requesting for refund, study support. Then you have steering committee, retreat report,
Yes.
solar tendering, and boardwalk tendering. I don't see anything like construction
Yes.
of the fence as far as this agenda
It's
is
concerned.
concerned. Yes.
Exactly. That is why I want to ask, because what you have there, like you were saying, number one is the issue of the refund.
Yes.
I don't think that letter had gone, or minutes had gone into detail regarding what the refund is, but maybe you can just give us a synopsis as to what the refund is all about, but then we'll get into it subsequently.
I have no idea about
Just
what
read to us what you have in relation to the refund column in the minutes.
Mr. Gano informed the meeting that a memo for request for refund of the payments of allowances made to the dissolved steering committee members have been given to CEO to act upon. The CEO acknowledged receipt of the memo and has forwarded it to the Director of Finance to act on.
So, you know, I had indicated to you earlier that all these projects are really projects in relation to the Ostend
Yes, yes.
agreement. Probably at some point it's more like a tripartite agreement, because they also had an EU agreement, the EU, Ostend, and BCC. Is that not correct?
Correct.
But then the reason as to why, let's say, all of these projects, or most of these projects, or let me say all of them have not really been executed, is what we want to understand and know.
Correct.
And I had told you that in all of these files in relation to the Crab Island solarization project, or the fencing, or the project at the boardwalk, or working at the Tanby. Is it Tanby?
The
wetland, Tanby wetland. The board working is at the Tanby wetland.
Yes,
We'll
yes,
come to that,
yes, yes.
And also the fencing of the Mile 2 dump site.
Okay.
It's all one and the same project. But then you have an issue that arose in relation to certain individuals that are supposed to execute this project, allocating themselves monies and making certain payments that were illegal and unlawful.
Correct.
That gave rise to the representatives of the Ostend project claiming that these payments were unlawfully made, and therefore the staff should return or pay back these monies, so that it will give us an understanding as to why most of these projects were not being executed the manner in which they were supposed to be executed. Do you see?
Yes.
So now, for the side of the fencing first, we will now come back to the issue of refund, because we have it in detail in subsequent files. But in relation to the fencing, you know, Jalan Kolong Enterprise was awarded the contract.
Correct.
As we are told in the letter. We have not seen the correspondence as to applying to your office in relation to notifying you or seeking approval or advice as to how to go about the determination process.
Correct.
Now, can you tell us that as to what is the procedure when a certain procurement organization wants to terminate a contract with a supplier or a contractor?
Now, procedures for contract termination are contained in the Act.
You can just summarily tell us what it is whilst you are checking in the Act.
I cannot be checking and
And
be
talking.
talking at the same time.
Okay.
Yeah, but
So now just somebody tell us what the
actually, there are procedures for contract termination, and they should be guided by provisions of Act supported by the regulation. But termination, a procuring organization may decide to terminate a contract if, for certain reasons. One of them may be if they are not satisfied with what the progress of work. And in that way, they can request for termination, and the termination should be in accordance with what the law provides for, the steps provided for by the Act.
now, do you recall whether you were notified of this termination?
Yes, the authority was written to.
Do you know the state of the contract the contract progression at Crab Island prior to termination?
Prior to termination, we were informed that Jala Kolong was not performing to expectations, and we even sent one of our staff, the action officer for that matter, to go and verify. He went, and in fact, when he was going, he went through the BCC itself, and somebody attached with the project was also identified to accompany the staff of the authority that went there. And the guy generated a report which was submitted to management, and based on that, with, of course, series of meetings with authorities of BCC, and we even held meetings with GPPA, between GPPA, BCC, and even the contractor was present. And at all these meetings, minutes were generated, and based on the information provided.
Are those minutes in this file that you presented to us from your office?
Yes, they're supposed to be there, but otherwise we can go back to the office and find out. But then for the minutes, we had copies, and then even copies of those minutes were also sent to other people who were part of the meeting, including BCC, and I think even the contractor, Jala Kolo, was also served a copy.
Yes. They are not in the file. Yes.
They are not, what we note, let me just restate the statement, DG. What we note is that most of the files we got from your office, folio numbers are not consistent, and there are folio numbers that are not in the files. Just like we are having some issues back and forth on some of the documents. Is it possible that somebody at the authority removed some of this file, removed some of this documentation before submitting the files? Is it a possibility?
Wow, that's a tough question. Is it a possibility?
Because for all of the files that we have dealt with,
Yes.
both for lead counsel and the deputy lead counsel, from the time we started dealing with the files, we did realize that it's not consistent. And the files are not, you could see that, you know, the files have been dealt with in a manner that, in a very rushed manner, and some documents are not contained in the files.
Yes, I agree with that, because this particular file he's talking about and the document he just mentioned, and this happened during my time, and I can remember all these documents,
Yes.
but they are not in the file.
Yes.
So something must be wrong. Something is wrong, obviously, somewhere. Is somebody pulling them out? Are they just not included because of whatever reason it is? Something is wrong somewhere, but I cannot pinpoint and say what it is. But I agree with you that the files are not correct. This file is a testimony, because I knew what he's talking about is true. This happened. I was there when these minutes were taken. But here we are, they are not here.
And Honorable Commissioner, to add on to that, I think for us, I'm very, very comfortable as far as this file is concerned, because I thought due diligence was done. Series of meetings were conducted, and at each of these stages, as I said, we ensure that minutes are taken. So if you are telling us that, because it's a surprise to us, if you are telling us that some minutes or documents are missing, definitely it's a big surprise to us. It's a big surprise to us, and unless we go back and find out how.
And that is why you could see that consistently we keep asking you to go back to bring us extra documents.
Correct.
You know, for those ones that you cannot remember, that is the trend. This is what we have seen consistently happening in all the files we've received from your office. Thank you. Council, you may continue.
Good afternoon, DG, and welcome back. I've just been reminded by the registrar that, as usual, I need to remind you that you are still under oath to continue your testimonies before this commission. So, over to you, Madam Chair.
Council, you may proceed.
Yes.
Thank you.
Over to me. So, DG, it's good to have you back. So we were discussing the Crab Island project in relation to the fencing of Crab Island and also the solarization project. So we have dealt with the first part, that is the solar project, and now we are discussing the fencing project. So the issue is contract was awarded to one Jalankolong enterprise, but then it appears as if based on BCC's standpoint that the project was poorly executed, and so they were requesting for a request of quotation to be granted by GPPA for subsequent contracts to be awarded to possible other qualified companies or corporations, which was denied or declined on the 6th of February 2023. Now, we are trying to understand as to what was the state of the project, because when you say that it is poorly executed, it may suggest that probably there was commencement of the fencing to a certain stage, but then they could not complete. So that's what we want to understand. So, Mr. Jed, Mr. Sayang.
Yes.
I think the letter dated 31st January 2023 is where you have basically writing to GPPA,
yeah,
reporting that the partners or the project do not approve of or were not convinced of the specifications.
Yes.
Can you tell us more about that letter?
Let me just read aloud and
Yes.
then explain. Crab Island School solarization procurement. Of course, the heading seems to be wrong because it's about fencing, but then
Exactly.
we write to your good office, we write to your good on the above mentioned caption. Earlier, on the above tender was initially won by the company Unique Solutions for the solarization of the Crab Island School, where its twin partnership city in Ostende, Belgium, are currently involved in a EU-sponsored project for a smart city. However, our partners are not convinced about the area of technical specification in terms of sustainability. We have sent emissaries to your office for discussion regarding to the cancellation and retendering based on the inadequacy of the technical specifications outlined in the bid document. We seek your technical advice and guidance before the deadline for the remittance of the unused funds get near. We thank you for your continuous support and cooperation. Council, here we are talking about the fencing.
Yes.
But it seems as if this letter is about the solarization, because it's talking about technical specifications which are not probably adequate and so on. So
Yes. So Did that letter seek to cancel the project?
No, this is a different.
One.
It's a different one completely.
have
This
this
is
letter.
about solarization, but the
Yes.
one we are talking about is.
Let me show you a letter dated the 18th of the 9th month of 2022. That one was contained in BCC 4 of 22, and not in that file. But then the minutes of the meeting is the minutes of the Joint Finance and Steering Committee meeting. You look at the update on lot 3 and 4, Jalan Kolong. Like I indicated, all these files are one and the same project. So they just discuss the issue regarding the Mile 2 dump site, the fencing of Crab Island, and the Solution project, and also the Tanbi wetland project as well.
Exactly, yeah.
Yes, so they
So,
usually discuss all of these things
Can
in
I
one
go
meeting.
straight to the update
Yes,
on lot 3 and 4,
Yes.
Jalakolong? Mr. Seherens informed the meeting that Jalakolong wrote to the BCC management saying that he was unable to finish his contract due to the fact that he has gone bankrupt. Mr. Mahmoud Toure, that suggested to contact the council lawyer to write formally to Jalakolong requesting to refund the payment of 1.3 million that was paid to him without doing the works as agreed. The CEO agreed to this suggestion. CEO suggested that the Jalakolong contract will be terminated and the legal procedures followed. Mr. Seherin suggested that continuation must be a priority and suggests that EcoFarm to be assigned the responsibility.
so again, please proceed.
Is that the end of the information on lot 3?
He has my letter, so
Yes, let
probably
him
you can-
complete the information.
Please proceed.
Yes.
Okay, CEO suggested that to write to GPPA informing them of getting another contractor to finalize on the lots that were allocated to Jalakolong.
So my question here is, Jalakolong was not allocated one lot. He was allocated 3 and 4. Is that the actual case in this situation?
I cannot remember, but as far as the fencing is concerned, I think it's one of the lots, either 3 or 4. So I'm not very sure how many lots were allocated to Jalakolong.
Yes, continue.
So Mr. Mahmoud Toure suggested that GPPA could be written to, informing them on the situation on the grounds, and as well recommended that hence there is a contractor on ground that is already familiarized with the ground can be contracted to finish the remaining lots. Mr. Gano argued that as much as EcoFarm could be consulted and contracted to finalize on the work started by Jalakolong, the right procedure need to be followed and go ahead with GPPA's suggestion. And he pointed out that it would not be a bad idea to contract another contractor, as even EcoFarm will most likely default looking at their job in hand cannot be completed in 2 months. His advice against overloading EcoFarm simply because of having soft spot for them. So this is about the fencing.
Yes.
So that is the end of
For the fencing,
the minutes,
yes.
Now, that
Okay, please, before you proceed, I just want to be clear about these minutes. The minutes are headed evaluation of solar bid tendering, update on lots 3 and 4, Jala Kolong. To me, it seems Jala Kolong was offered lots 3 and 4, tendering of dome side fencing. And in this minutes, I may be wrong, but is this the proper procedure to adopt? In terms of, because we cannot tell whether this was an evaluation or a contracts committee meeting, or was it just a one-off situation where there was an issue and they wanted to redress it and they called up for a meeting and decided to add other agenda items, which we are not told what are the level or the stages. Looking at the top page, that is on page 2 of the said document that you have just read.
I think this is a special one.
Yes.
About what they intend to discuss. But I have a standard bid evaluation form, which I believe was, yes, is in the submissions.
Okay.
That will look at the evaluation of the various lots and how they are awarded. I think this letter that you have before you is about a specific issue. That is when Jalakolo was found not to have performed to expectations. Then that issue was, they met on those on that issue, and those minutes were generated specifically for that. But then, like I said, I have a bid evaluation form which must discuss about all the lots that.
Yes, is that bid evaluation form in that file? Is it dealing with issues on the solar bid tendering?
Yes, I have.
And the lot 3 and 4 and the tendering of the dome side fencing?
I have a document here, standard bid evaluation forms for the procurement of goods, works, and services. And if I have few minutes to
no,
go
I just
through
want to
to
confirm that since you have provided, Council will take us through. Thank you.
Okay.
Council, you may proceed on that.
Do you have questions on that, Mr.?
No, I am done. I just, because I'm not too clear of this finance and joint finance and sharing committee.
Yes.
Because you were dealing with the fencing, and all of a sudden I see lot 3 and 4. Then I see the tendering of dome side.
Yes.
Because if you still look at, if you still see the same document, you could see that the issue of the tendering of the dome side was also discussed, where issues of bills of quantity were discussed in detail.
Yes.
And steps were taken as to remedy the defects in the BOQ, which I found not to be the standard normal procedure that the authority advises them to take.
That is correct, because even these letters talking about the Crab Island fencing are found in a different file. That is a 4/22, 4 of 22. And the one we're dealing with should be, is it 2 of 22 or 3? Yes.
This is 2 of 22.
2 of 22. So that file, 2 of 22, in-depthly addresses the issue of the Crab Island solarization project and the fencing. But then the minutes do not talk about the issue of fencing. So the minutes of the fencing you will find in 4 of 22. So I don't know why you have that. So now you said that you have had a meeting with, is it BCC, regarding the state of the fencing when they requested to terminate the services or the contract with Jalan Kolong Enterprise?
Yes, we had not even 1 minute. I think we have series. I cannot remember exactly the number.
Do you see any minutes in that file regarding the meetings that you have had with them?
No, I have not.
Yes, because then what was the nature of those meetings?
The nature of those minutes was to listen to BCC to tell us their concerns about the project, which of course is dissatisfaction with the contractor. Hence, they requested for
Termination.
termination.
So
yes.
you would have known where the contract has gone wrong, the stage of the contract, and so on and so forth.
Our role as an authority is to not only ensure that public funds are guided, but at the same time, we ensure that even the rights of the contractors as suppliers are also protected. So here, when they came, we have to listen to both parties. And one of the things that we did was to send a staff to go and verify some of the things that they are claiming. And like I said earlier, when the staff went, he went with orders, which are also mentioned in the minutes. And a report was presented to tell us what the status was for the authority to make an informed decision.
Do you have that report with you? Both the minutes of the meetings?
Like I said, it was a surprise that they are not, but we should have copies. I think when I go back to the office, we
Yes.
can try to see if we can see minutes.
Respectfully request for copies of the minutes of the meetings in relation to this project, and also the report of the state of the project.
Okay.
To the best of your recollection, did the project or the fencing commence at Crab Island?
Yes, Jala Colon started. Up to a point, they said they are not satisfied with the pace that he is moving against the time, because there is time, the project is time bound. So the speed at which Jala Colon is going on is not satisfactory, that he will not be able to meet the deadlines. Not only that, he will not even be able to execute the project as expected. They tried to look at the funds disposed to him and the state at which the project was at that time, because they have their own engineers and they have their own technical people who were able to measure the amount of funds given to him versus the state at which the project was at that time.
The letter you have read clearly indicated that Jalakolong wrote to BCC to say that they are bankrupt.
Yes.
They can no longer go on with the project.
Yes, but
Right?
yes, but from the meeting, what they were saying is, yes, Jalakolong wrote to them to tell them that the company is bankrupt. Hence, he wanted additional funding for him to be able to continue. He wanted additional funding.
But if further in that same letter, it was indicated that he was paid 1.3 million and he did not do anything.
He was paid $1.3 million as advance payment. Mm-hmm. He started working and was not able to continue. Some of his staff were not even paid. So he wanted additional payment on top of the $1.3 million so that he can continue, which BCC was not in a position to give, because according to them, the amount of money disposed to him as advance payment, and also comparing with the work that he did, they feel that the amount of money given to him is not commensurate. The work he did does not match with the amount of money that was. So it was not justifiable for him to be given extra funding.
Yeah, I appreciate that, but I believe that the reason why this is captured here is because he produced a document, a technical and a financial proposal, saying that, you understand, this is going to be the cost, and this is how I'm going to progress in dealing with providing this service.
Yes.
And I believe that it is as a result of that they gave him the 1.3 million, right?
Correct.
And I haven't seen that after disbursing 1.3 million, he hasn't done anything. That is why BCC raised the concern that we will not pay you. You understand? The project raised the concern that we will not pay you because this was not BCC's money. It's project money, and it's time bound. And he gave a technical proposal and a financial proposal, and based on that document, are those documents in the file?
I cannot see them. I cannot find them.
So please kindly provide us with those documents.
Okay.
Because this letter, I believe the content of this minutes is derived from the documents he submitted to them, to the project.
Okay.
Thank you. Council, you may proceed.
Yes, now, when you bring those documents, we may probably clarify some issues. But then, another project that the Ostender BCC EU tripartite agreement was seeking to execute or implement was the issue regarding the construction of 100 meters perimeter fencing at the Mile 2 waste dumping site. Do you follow?
Correct.
Let's just briefly discuss this, Registrar. So tell us what this project is all about. Briefly.
I think the project was an intention to fence the waste dumping site at Mile 2.
Yes.
And the funding was going to be provided by their linking partners,
Yes.
but to be implemented by BCC.
Now, please, there is a letter dated the 18th of the 9th month of the year 2022. Do you see that? I've marked it with a yellow sticker.
'18th of 9th, yes,
Yes.
18th 9 2022.
9/2022, yes.
Is that a letter or minutes?
Is the Joint Finance Steering Committee meeting. Do you see
Yes,
it?
yes.
What was the agenda?
Evaluation of solar bid tendering, update on lot 3 and 4, Jalakolong, and tendering of dump site fencing. Then you have AOB.
Yes. Tell us the discussion on the first part.
Mr. Gano and Mr. Ture updated the meeting that the solar tender opening has successfully been done. The opening was attended by all the bidders, but one attended. GPPA officials, BCC officials, and project staff. I think these are the people who attended the bid opening.
Yes. Let me read for you. It said, Mr. Gano and Mr. Ture updated the meeting that the solar tender opening has successfully been done. Now, the opening was attended by all bidders, but one attended. The opening was attended by all bidders, but one attended. I don't know what they mean. But GPA officials, BC officials, and project staff, Mr. Max Sane argued that opening of the solar tendering was done without the prior notification of the steering committee members. Here they are trying to raise the to query the credibility of the tendering. Now, which was not right, as members were only notified later. The meeting was informed that the tender evaluation will be arranged in a few days' time, and an independent consultant will be hired to lead the process. This will give the process more credibility, as the additional expertise needed for this task. Do you see?
Yes.
You see, we were discussing the issue of credibility of this entire project.
Yeah.
The issue of advertisement, the issue of the BCCs requesting for open tender when the content will suggest that they want restricted tender because they know the suppliers that they want to deal with or the contractors, but then the minutes will suggest that they should have in fact applied for open international tenders. That's not the case. So on the 18th of September, we have minutes of the meetings of the steering committee raising issues of credibility. Is that not the case?
Correct.
Even the issue of the tendering process for the solar at Crab Island. So it is not only me having a problem with the transparency with respect to whether there was in fact a proper bidding open bidding process, but then even the committee were concerned about that. Is that the case?
Correct.
Now, if you read that alongside the letter dated the 18th of October 2022, 18/10/2022. Are you there with me?
Yes.
Another issue was raised. This time around, it has to do with the issue concerning not only the credibility of the bidding processes, but in the manner in which the funds of the project were being used. So let me start reading. And it says the meeting started with an individual prayer and was chaired by the CEO, Mr. Bachili. Now, Mr. Vaslam Brook informed the meeting that extension of the project has been assigned by all parties now. That is Ostenda, BCC, and EU. That's why I said it's more or less like a tripartite agreement, three-way agreement. Now, he promised to make a copy available to BCC. Now, Mr. Van also informs the meeting that effect January 2023, the project bank account will be moved to Standard Chartered Bank, and the signing will be done digitally, and Ostenda, as it's important to have them as the fund guarantors to also be signatories. So the reason why he was saying that will subsequently follow. He said, Mr. Gano informed that the meeting that the project staff contracts are for 34 months, so a month notice is required. He said that contracts will be ending on the 1st December 2022. Now, he argued that 34 months contract ends in December 31st, but not the 1st December as presented by Mr. Gano. So another issue he raised was that the return of the advance payments made to the previous steering committee members. Mr. Jase informed the meeting that he discussed it during a viral meeting. So you see, in discussing the previous file, 2/2022, the issue of refund came up. But now we'll know what the refund is all about, even though we don't have extensive detail as to how much monies were paid to individuals unlawfully and illegally using the funds of the project for Banjul City Council. Now, he said, Mr. Jase informed the meeting that he discussed it during a virtual meeting with the Ostend partners, that is in bracket Mr. Laura. He added that most of the payees cannot repay, and he suggested that it should be written off as a bad debt. So what we have here is that funds of the project, those that are responsible to execute this project on the side of the BCC, those who went for this Ostenda project, they used part of the funds and paid themselves advance payments. It wasn't, let's say, I don't know whether it was 1 year payment, using monies unlawfully to credit their accounts. So this now tells us as to why or how there are delays, or why most of these projects could not be executed. So he said, Mr. Van said, he argued that the funds cannot just be written off, as it was an advance payment that was paid to sit-ins that never happened. He added that it was addition they were not informed of, and he suggested that BC to work towards ensuring the return of the funds, as it is against the EU rules to give out loans. The CEO, that's Mr. Bacheli, informed the meeting that Mr. Kamara, the finance director of BCC, suggested to pay off 50% of the money and pursue the said staff to repay back the other 50%. What do you understand by this?
Actually, what I understand is some part of the money is given by loans. But let me make these clarifications.
Yes.
In procurement, we advise procuring organizations to have procurement plans.
Yes.
And basically, the plans are drawn from budgets.
Yes.
And the budgets of the institution will include everything, including salaries, allowances, and the like, so that the procurement plan will be concerned with things that are procurement related. Procurement plans have nothing to do with salaries, loans, and advance payments and the like. It is important that we discuss this, but I don't think it has much to do with procurement.
In fact,
It is more of administrative that they can clarify for in case they are called upon by the commission and the like.
In
But
fact-
I don't think what we are having here is procurement related.
yes, it is not procurement related. What we have here is those that are in charge of the project,
Correct.
allocating payments to them.
Sorry, Council. Mr. Sanyang,
Yeah.
I beg to disagree. It is indeed procurement related because you as an authority is involved in the activity, in granting approvals, in making sure that you have an oversight responsibility. Even though it is a project that is being run by the PO, and if you recollect, I ask you to give me documentation during the time we were treating KMC to see what is your role in dealing with these POs when they have project funding, so that we are clear as to the consistent use of the rules and the regulations. Because in as much as an outsider is coming to assist you, you are an independent state, you have your laws. So whatever you must agree in an agreement, it should be in tandem with your laws if they want to assist you. And the reason why we can see through the implementation of these projects is because they are aware that the projects will not be implemented as intended. And this is why they impose their own rules, contrary to what rules you have. And the rules you have are fantastic, because if they are followed, there will be no corruption. Correct. Am I not right?
You are right.
Yes, continue.
Well,
I just want it
Because-
to be very, no. I just want it to be clear that you have a business in this. Because the thing is here, they have, it was written to you. Because when the project collapsed, they wrote to you to say that they want to cancel. And
Correct.
if they want to cancel, you know that they need to follow a process. And probably the process they need to follow is different from what the set rules of the EU or the other partner, their rules are. And the reason why they came back to you for further approval, if you recollect, which you have told this commission, is for them to have access to have the funds before it is returned, because it's time bound. Am I not correct?
Yes,
They
but
rushed to you to come and tell you that we need you to approve, because if not, these funds are going to be returned.
but I still disagree on the fact that loans and other things are more of administration, because a task force, people are selected to implement the project.
Yes.
And these people selected to implement the project probably have allowances allocated to them. And they probably abuse, but I am not sure, the system to give themselves loans. The loans that they have given, together with allowances and salaries, are not procurement related. And when we are drawing procurement plans, they are never part of a procurement plan. So I disagree that loans that they are given to project members
I'm
are
not talking
procurement
about.
related.
You may have gotten me wrong. What I'm saying is the entire activity, you have a hand in it, in the back and forth, because we've seen you wrote to them, they wrote back to you, you are advising here and there. I'm not talking about the issues of the loans they have taken and all that.
Yeah.
I said the overall responsibility and the management of the project. That is what I'm talking about, not the loans per se.
Okay.
Yes. And I am very clear of the fact that, what you explained, that the loans and all these things, there are so many issues that are of internal relevance to the PO, not to you.
Correct.
Right?
I even want to believe that if the minutes are properly written and that they are separated, this loan issue should not have come under this procurement file. It may not, even if they are properly written, because this is basically procurement. And the loans and other things are more
But
of
these are files you
administrative.
presented to us, and that is why we are
I
discussing it.
agreed, I
Yes.
agree.
So, okay. Council, you may proceed.
Why was there a need to conduct a meeting with the procurement organization to know as to why a certain procurement is not really being effected or being implemented?
Actually, this was a Taiwan crab island.
No, the
Sorry,
need,
when the
no, the need. I'm saying you told us earlier that it is important as an authority to really not only approve or decline certain applications, but also to know the state of certain contracts that have been executed and why they are not being executed. For example, when Jalan Kolong failed to execute, you had a meeting, and then with BCC, you had minutes of the meeting. You even sent a team to go and find out why a certain incident happened. For example, why they did not complete their work. Is that not correct?
correct.
So, if you are told that, for example, Jalan Kolong, let's say, spend all the money and then do not, in this case, they were bankrupt and therefore they do not execute, they cannot execute their functions in accordance with the contract or their obligations in accordance with the contract, would that not be of concern to your authority?
Of course, it was a concern.
So if the same vein, if those who are funding these projects that are supposed to be used for procurement are raising some sort of a disclaimer, some sort of a complaint that the funds for procurement are being used for personal gains, again, would that not be the same, trying to solve the same problem, trying to understand why certain projects cannot be executed?
Well, what we know, like I indicated before, is that there are budgets for the implementation of every project. And for every project, there must be administrative cost, allowances, and others. And there must be funds allocated for every activity that they intend to do. A budget for a project cannot be 100% procurement. So if they are saying that members were given loans, how can we say for certain that the loans given are not from the administrative cost of the project, or even the other charges for allowances and other things? What we will be concerned with...
Mr. Sanyang, would the
Yes.
agreement not and the documentation between the donors
Yes.
and the BCC, would it not spell out what the personnel would be entitled to, what project officials would be entitled to?
Of course, it should be indicated.
Thank you. Yes.
Yes. Are you generally interested in knowing why a certain project is not executed?
Yes.
You told us about Form 041, is that being the reporting form, is that correct? What is the purpose of the reporting form again?
041.
Yeah, is it 40 or 41?
040, sorry.
40,
040, yes.
Yes, so, yes, but now it's
That
04,
is,
40?
that is what you gave us earlier, which we noted. You
Okay,
said
supplier
Form
assessment.
041,
Supplier assessment.
supplier assessment.
Okay.
Yes. So
Can we confirm whether it's 041? Can you confirm whether Form 041 is for supplier assessment or is 040?
040,
Are you sure?
yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes,
So I'll
my
amend that.
point is probably this may not have, you don't need to, approval may not be necessary to, they will not seek your permission as to whether they need to allocate funds to themselves or not for personal use. But what we are trying to understand is why all of these projects are really failing
Correct.
or they could not be executed. in the manner in which they should be executed. And so, since you've told us that you have made it your business to find out the manner of execution in relation to some of these projects, I am telling you that as per the documents that you have received, one of the issues raised is such that members of these committees that are responsible to execute these projects are allocating payments to themselves unlawfully, so that may explain or partly explain to a certain degree as to why most of these projects are failing. Would that not explain that partly as to why they are failing?
Council, as per the information that we got,
Yes.
this tender went through a tendering process, and the suppliers or contractors bidded with all their financial proposals. And one of the contractors, who happened to be Jala Kolong, is one of those contenders. From his financial proposal, he was given
$3 million.
$3 million to execute the contract. According to the information that we got, Jala Kolong was not...
Sorry, Mr. Sergeant, not to execute, it was a part payment.
Yes, part payment.
Yes.
Part payment of $1.3 million. So the information we got was, now the work progress, does not commensurate with the amount given to them.
Yes.
We have not received any information that a supplier requested for a certain amount of money as per the contract agreement, and BCC was not able to give that amount because that amount that was requested was supposed to be given, but BCC was not able to give it because those monies that are intended to be given were given as loans.
No, I don't know whether you understand what I am trying to say.
Because I am not saying that failure cannot be attributed to those amounts given as loans. I will not confirm that. But what I can confirm is...
Have you, at any given time, received or requested Form 040, that the form can be completed and sent to the authority at the end of project execution? The projects we have discussed here, since you...
What you told us with respect to now the corrected version, which is Form 040.
Yes.
You said is supplier assessment,
exactly,
reporting on the progress of the project activity. Mm-hmm. That is what you said.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, Mr.
Your Honor, Madam Chair, it seems that the discussions between Council and the Director looks like, in my understanding, it's about the scope of responsibility of the authority vis-a-vis the funds, the project funding. Now, when projects receive their funds, GPA is not concerned. We are not even aware.
No. I stand to be corrected by Council. What Council is saying is that from these transactions, can somebody reasonably infer that the reason for failure of this project is because prudence was not observed in the disbursement or the use of the funds, not the authority being wrong or whatsoever, because it is that letter that he read that has highlighted that Mr. Van requested that those monies be refunded because they were not properly paid. And he highlighted that it's against the rules of EU to give out loans. So we can readily assume from the letter that monies were disbursed to officials by themselves as loan. And what he is saying is that part of the reason of the failure of the projects might have been the cause. Yes, not that the authority has any responsibility over that. That is not your decision. It is, you did not even know when they were disbursing these monies to them. And you did not even authorize the disbursement of those monies. You had no business with those monies. So he is saying that part of the failure of the projects, would you not impute that it is officials that were paying themselves instead of allowing for these monies to be used for what they were meant for, that caused the delay in execution or the poor deliverance of the projects?
Yeah, I want to please ask you to allow me 1 minute to develop.
Yes, I just wanted to clarify that he is saying this in this context. Yeah. I stand to be corrected by him, but that is my understanding of what he is trying to put to Mr. Sanyan. But he is not trying to say that it is a procurement responsibility and it is the authority's responsibility to have said, oh no, you paid this money as loan. No, you know, because we have seen that even though as at now we have not gotten all the documents that will enable us make an assessment, which he said he would look for, where it is available he will produce to the commission. But from reading the documents, we are seeing that these are project monies that are coming from donors, not monies from the coffers of BCC. And that is why these people had the right to request for the monies to be refunded, because they believe that the monies were not properly spent, or they were not rightfully spent. So you can explain and clarify.
I understand you.
Yes,
but because I just mentioned the word responsibility of the authority, you quickly assume that I am saying that council thinks that the authority is somehow wrong, like you said. But that's not that was not my intention. No. What I'm saying is, in my understanding, council is trying to show that the reason why projects are failing in procurement projects, perhaps is because not all the funds, perhaps it's because there are leakages. I think if I understand. Council, and I'm not sure if you are paying attention.
What? Please go back again.
Yes.
Go ahead.
So your discussion,
you are saying whether what I'm saying is the reason why the projects are failing is because councils are using procurement funds for their own personal listing.
I thought that was your question too.
Yes,
that's what you are trying to find out.
Yes, so
exactly.
Usually,
so
let me just summarize so you can go ahead with your reply. I am very interested in your reply. I said, so because we have a letter here that is clearly explaining that funds meant for the project are being used by members that are supposed to execute or be part of those who are supposed to execute these projects for their own personal gains. And let me read for you. It says that, in fact, in all the letters in this project, you see you have the Ostender EU project together with BCC. It's more or less like a tripartite agreement. So the fencing of the dump site at Mile 2 is part of it, which we're discussing right now. The Tanby Wetland Boardwalk is part of it. You also have the Crab Island Storage project and the fencing of Crab Island. We have seen that all of these projects are really facing some serious lapses. Some have not even been commenced, just so to speak. So now, in one of the meetings, and in addition to that, before you arrive today, you see that the rules, in fact, have been flouted seriously in relation to what the agreement would be. In the meetings by the steering committee in relation to opting for an open international tender, when BCC, when they come back, they will now apply. Because when they apply with the BC letterhead. When they will now apply for open tender, but the body in fact will suggest that they are applying for restricted tendering, informing GPPA that they already have contractors or suppliers that are known to them, that they want to deal with. I had given GPA a fair pass to say probably you were dealing with them in good faith, that you look at the content, you look at the heading. Well, even though there are inconsistencies, you are saying, well, it appears as if since they have highlighted some forms that have been attached, that they must have intended to use open tender. Is that not the case, sir? I am saying that may be the case, but if you look at the entire situation surrounding all these projects, which are consistently failing, you may see that it may probably be an intention. So you see these funds now, this letter is showing you, letter dated the 18th, is telling you that monies were paid to individuals. In fact, it didn't tell us whether they were paid as a matter of loan or not. People were taking monies for their own personal use. So when this side of Ostenda, they found out, they requested these monies be paid back. Correct. Because they are not supposed to allocate payments to themselves in that manner. They said it was wrong, it was unlawful, it was not correct. So I am saying that since we have established that, because I had asked the question as to what extent do you go after approving all of these procedures to see whether a particular project is being executed or not. What do you do? His director said to me that they had a form 040. Usually they are supposed to be some sort of a reporting, but even for themselves, sometimes they go back and try to see for themselves whether projects are being executed or not. Then I said, well, now going by this letter, it appears as if either, like part of the reason as to why these projects are not being executed is because monies that are meant for the project are being used for personal gains. You understand that? Yeah. So if it is the concern of the authority to know the outcome of a particular project, it will probably be the concern of the authority to know when issues are being complained of regarding misuse of project funds. Do you understand now?
Yes, I understand. I'm trying to see how I can rephrase what I want to say, because it seems both you and...
No, go ahead. Be free.
And Chair...
Mr. Jede, be absolutely free to speak your mind. I have a follow-up question regarding that.
Yes, please answer counsel. I just make my opinion. Yes. I just give my opinion based on my understanding of his question. Yes. But this is his question, and you answer that question.
Okay. So I start again.
Yes.
My understanding of the exchange between counsel and the director is that counsel is trying to point out that it is the authorities, I will withdraw responsibility now, it is the authorities' concern for project funding. Now, director is saying that, no, the authority is only concerned when procurement proceedings have been launched by the procuring organization, and that's where we come in. So what they do with the funding is not the responsibility or concern of the authority. That's where I want to come. And I want to say that, yes, because I have learned something from this, and that's why I want to say what I'm going to say. Yes, the authority is normally only concerned with project funds when they initiate procurement. That's the time we come in. And we confine ourselves to the procurement itself, not what they do with the rest of the funds. But I'm saying now that I think the authority's responsibility should go beyond confining itself just to the procurement process or proceeding itself alone, because I think we should have access to the entire procurement, the entire project agreement between the procuring organization and the funding authority, so that once we have access to that, we should have access to that, and that will help us. That should help the authority in its decisions that these funds are meant for procurement, and so there I think authorities it is the authority's responsibility to see that the funds that were meant for procurement should not be directed to salaries and all other things. That's where I want to come in.
I will commend you for that answer, but let me tell you, that is the position. In fact, that is the position in relation to procurement, and that is the authority that that you have, that the Auditor General have. Let me tell you why. Did we not go over the post reviews?
Correct.
Yes, we
did. In the post reviews, did we not highlight certain irregularity and then you have implications to that effect? Is that not the case? And,
Yes.
and part of the implications, do you not highlight unilaterally on your own that some of the actions or activities may lead to corrupt practices?
We do.
Correct.
Yes, but you could have decided to say corrupt practice is not your business. Is it not? When someone takes money and then they spend it in their own individual pocket, why do you have to highlight it when it has nothing to do with either your approval or your decline?
No, corrupt practices in procurement is our business because
But
it is in the
can you
act.
separate corrupt practice from taking procurement money for individual use? His response to that was, we would not know whether that is for procurement specifically or for admin. Is that not your reply? Mr. Sayang, is that not your reply? Your reply was, we would not know whether the monies paid to these individuals were either for admin purposes or for procurement.
What I am saying is, in
Was
short,
that your reply first?
what I am saying is, we agree that any dime in project must correspond with an activity.
Yes.
If money is diverted,
Yes.
obviously part of the activities will be affected.
Exactly.
But what we are saying is, as far as this project is concerned, we have not come across any portion where it is indicated that BCC was not able to pay contractors because money was not, or money was diverted.
We will come to that. And you also said, in addition to that as well, that you cannot tell whether the monies diverted for personal gains were meant for procurement and not necessarily, or whether procurement or they were meant for administrative issues. Did you not say that? Did you not say that?
Well, we've been sitting here for a long time. I cannot remember.
Exactly.
I think,
Just few minutes, we conclude on that.
yes. Because,
If I can have 3 minutes, we can conclude on this
Yes.
issue.
Okay.
The reason being, my point is, maybe you did not draw your mind to the fact that you had raised the issue regarding corruption time and again in your post-reviews report itself.
Yes, we said that several
Exactly,
times.
money is
Yeah.
diverted. And let me read you Section 81 of the Gambia Public Procurement Act 2022, where it states that the public procurement activity shall be subjected to regular auditing by the Attorney General to ensure that public funds are expended for their intended purposes and with a view to maximizing value received by the public purchaser, ensuring that proper and accountable systems are in place and adhered to, and identifying any weaknesses in procurement. And you say, of course, you have reporting obligation to be sending reports of your procurement probably to Auditor General, Attorney General, and so on and so forth. Is that not the case?
Correct.
So that how would the Auditor General or any institution be able to investigate properly if you have information like this? So now I ask you the question, is that information a concern? Should it be a concern for your organization, or should it not be a concern for your organization?
It should be a concern.
Thank you very much.
yes, just one statement. This is in connection with what you have said in respect to having a holistic understanding of the agreements.
Yes.
What I just want to add there is your understanding of those agreements will help harmonize whatever rules the donors are bringing together with your rules so that you will not have a problem of making sure that you properly guide the POs in the process of procurement. Because if not, you are going to be provided for with a different set of procurement rules where already you have the rules set out for you. So if you don't have, just like you said, at the beginning, you don't have all the information, this is what you will end up having.
You've just articulated exactly what I wanted to, I think, the intention of my
So this is it.
statement.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right. We may rise and we reconvene tomorrow.